Hey Meeple people, how's it going? So on today's video, we are going to be talking about Gen Con 2023 previews. Board Game Geek just put up a list that publishers can add to for the Gen Con previews, games that will be there to buy, be there to demo, or that have already released so you can go ahead and buy them. So there's going to be a lot of good stuff here at Gen Con 2023, and me and Sarah will be going to Gen Con. We'll be working, but hopefully we'll begin to peel off and look at some of the new titles and previews of titles at Gen Con 2023. So as of right now, as of the list being released, there's 187 games. We went through the lists and I picked about 15. I think, Sarah, you picked like 26 games that we are excited for. We might come back a week or two later just because publishers can add to this list, so we can look back through it and see if anything new has come out that we'll be interested in to see, and maybe make a follow-up video and talk more about the exciting things. But I will leave a link in the description of this video to that Gen Con preview page where you can see all the games that will be coming to Gen Con 2023. Well, without further ado, we're going to start with Sarah and see on her list, and she'll be talking about the games that she's excited for. So, without further ado, Sarah?
So I do have 26 titles on my list. So I'm going to try to go kind of fast just so that it's not a 100-hour long video.
2 hours later.
And it is in alphabetical order. So no particular order here, just alphabetical order. Starting with Agueda, City of Umbrellas. This is from 25th Century Games. It is a 1 to 5 player, 20 to 40 minute game that is pattern building, tile placement, and a card game. It looks really beautiful. I've gotten to see some advanced copies of this at conventions I was at earlier this year, and it's got these really cool 3-dimensional umbrellas, and it has an amazing table presence, really colorful, really fun, and so I would love to know more about Agueda, City of Umbrellas from 25th Century Games. I'm also interested in Barcelona from Board and Dice. This is a 1 to 4 player game that takes 60 to 90 minutes to play, and it says that it has endgame bonuses, it's a tile placement and city building game. So I don't have a lot of information on that one, but it looks pretty, and some of the keywords are sort of hitting my sweet spots. I'm also interested in Bonsai from DV Games. It's a 1 to 4 player game that takes 40 minutes to play. It is an open drafting solo/solitaire game with like an environmental theme where we are like taking on the role of expert bonsai masters, trying to grow our own bonsais. The artwork is really lovely, and I love that sort of environmental theme. I really like a lot of those more nature-oriented themes, and this one looks really pretty and interesting. So, Bonsai. By the Seashore by Gold Seal Games, a 2 to 4 player game that takes 30 minutes to play. It's hand management, set collection, and a card game. I love the ocean and the seashore, and so this just caught my eye. I don't know much more about it. And sometimes card games can be a little hit or miss for me, but I do like hand management and set collection games, and the theme has really grabbed me. So we'll see how that one goes. This next one I am really excited about. It is probably the thing I am the most excited about so far, and that is the Cascadia Landmarks expansion. This is from Flat Out Games. It is an expansion to Cascadia, which is right over here. So it's going to be a 1 to 6 player game. It takes 30 to 45 minutes to play, and it has mechanics like endgame bonuses, hexagon grid, and abstract strategy. And it is an expansion for Cascadia, so you have to have Cascadia in order to play Cascadia Landmarks. But I really, really like Cascadia, and I like a lot of the other stuff that the Flat Out Games team has done before. So I'm really excited about Cascadia Landmarks. The next one, and actually a couple of other ones in here, are games that I just sort of threw on my list because they're from a publisher that I think just doesn't miss very often for me, and that's 25th Century Games. So I've got Color Field, which is for 2 to 4 players and takes 20 to 45 minutes to play. It is a map deformation, tile placement, abstract strategy, and puzzle game, which all sounds amazing. The box is just a tiny bit boring. It's like a watercolor background, and it just has Color Field written on white. This is a little bit boring, but it does look pretty. And like I said, a lot of times 25th Century just makes games that I enjoy. So that's one from them. I'm Another one from them, jumping just a little bit out of order, is Donut Shop, which is for 2 to 4 players, takes 30 minutes to play, and it is a set collection, tile placement, and abstract strategy game, and it's about donuts. So, gotta check that one out. Another game from 25th Century is FICA, which is for just 2 players. It takes 20 minutes to play, and it is a pattern building set collection abstract strategy card game, and it's got a Swedish coffee culture theme to it, so that sounds kind of cool. Fit to Print is another one by Flat Out, as well as Deep Dive is by Flat Out. So you can see I've kind of got some publishers that I like. I love a lot of stuff that they do. So Deep Dive was for 1 to 6 players, takes 15 to 20 minutes to play, and is a push your luck set collection game that is penguin themed. So this one, you're like little penguins and you're pushing your luck to get further and further into the ocean so that you can collect better and better meals or like food sources. But the deeper that you dive, the more potentially dangerous it can get because of predators. So that one sounds interesting, and I like the theme there. Push your luck games go over really well with my family, so that will probably be one that I can sort of introduce to my family and they might be willing to play. That would be cool. And then Fit to Print is for 1 to 6 players, takes 15 to 30 minutes to play, and is a closed drafting abstract strategy game with endgame bonuses. This one, I'm a little bit unsure about this one. Like I said, it is from Flat Out Games, who makes Cascadia and a few of the other ones I've already mentioned. The reason that I'm not sure about this is because there's a portion of this game that is optional, but is like one of the main mechanics of like the original design of the game, and that is simultaneous play where everybody like grabs tiles and you're trying to grab these tiles and put them like just in a heap on your board, and then eventually you have to like actually use those tiles to place in a polynomino shape, so that's like Tetris pieces, so you're trying to like place those on your board. But initially there's that portion where you're like just racing to grab the pieces that you think you might need. Typically I don't really love that like race to physically do something. I just don't find that to be something that I personally enjoy. There is a way to play Fit to Print where you don't have to play like that, but that is not exactly their original intent. So I'm not sure if Fit to Print is really for me or not, but I love polynomial placement games, and I've liked a lot of the other stuff that Flat Out has done. So interested to know more. The next one is Forges of Ravenshire from BA Games. It's for 1 to 4 players. It takes 50 to 100 minutes to play. It is a dice rolling fantasy game, and we've actually done a video of this game on the channel before. It has been one of the funnest games that I think we've ever reviewed, because the publisher has sent us a review copy. I thought that the game was really clever. I thought that it was fun. I thought that it was interesting. I thought that it was unique. And Nick can put a link somewhere if you guys want to know more about how we felt about Forges of Ravenshire. We did get an advanced copy, so this is actually going to be like the published version, and I'm interested to see sort of how things came together in more of a final form, because I really enjoyed the game that we played, even though it was sort of a pre-production copy. The next one, I do not know how to pronounce, and I'm sorry. I think it's Jerusalem. It might be Jerusalem. I'm not really sure. It is a game from Devere Games for 1 to 4 players. It takes 90 minutes to play, and it is a deck, bag, and pool building game with sort of a religious theme. It's about Jesus and like the time that he spent on earth with his disciples. I am a Christian, so I am excited when Christian themes pop up in board gaming. Sometimes it's not always great, right? Either the game is like subpar or the theming can get a little weird sometimes, as anything about religion can. But I am looking forward to see how they tackle that sort of thing in this one. And it is a decently rated game, so I'm hoping that like solid mechanics, a theme I'll enjoy, and I'm looking forward to knowing more about that one. Another one that I put on my list is Miller Zoo. This is from a publisher called Randolph. It's for 1 to 6 players, and it takes 30 minutes. It is Action Points, a co-op game, and it is about, I guess, a real place called Miller Zoo. I don't know a ton about this one, but like I said earlier, I love sort of that natural theming. I love animals. I love nature. So the theming caught my attention. And then this is also by the same designer that made Decrypto, which I personally think is a great game, but not exactly my thing. I'm not really into party games, but I've actually met the designer before. He is a fun, nice guy that I've gotten to play some games with, and I've just always enjoyed my time with him. So I'm kind of looking forward to this just to sort of see how his designs have like evolved in the last several years since I've seen him last, and just kind of what this game brings to the table just because of my past experiences with the designer. The next two are from Cosmos by Reiner Knizia, and they're sort of familial games. It's My City, the roll and build version, and then My Island. So Nick and I played My City, which was the original of these games. Just the two of us, we played through the whole legacy, and we enjoyed that. And now they're going to do My Island, which is sort of a follow-up, and then My City, which is the roll and build version. So there's like a roll and write version, and then another new game called My Island. Both of them are legacy games, if I understand correctly. The dice game obviously has dice rolling, grid coverage, and city building in it. And then the My Island, it says it's bingo, catch the leader, and city building. So like I said, we really enjoyed My City, and I'm looking forward to seeing how these two sort of fall into that same sort of niche. I put My Shelfie on the list. It is a game from Lucky Duck Games for 2 to 4 players, taking 30 minutes to play. It has end game bonuses, pattern building, and abstract strategy. And like Nick just pointed out, it is on the shelf right over here. We picked that
copy. A little bit of Gen Con already here.
We picked that copy up at Cape Fear Games in Wilmington, North Carolina. We'd sort of made like a little road trip down there. It's one of our favorite local game stores. And while we were down there, I saw that on the shelf and I thought it looked really cute. So we did pick up a copy. It's fun. It's more challenging than you would expect. I don't think that it would be the first thing I'd replace if we lost our whole collection, but it was interesting, and there's, I think, a lot of good stuff about that one. So I did put that one on my list. The next one is Nautilus Island by Funny Fox. It's for 2 to 4 players, takes 20 to 30 minutes to play, and it has endgame bonuses. It's a racing card game with exploration elements. So I don't know a whole lot about this one, but the artwork looks fun, and a lot of those keywords are hitting for me. So interested in that one. This next one is called, I think, it's called Nemalia. And it's from Lucky Duck Games. It's for 2 to 4 players. It takes 25 to 30 minutes to play. It is a closed drafting, grid coverage game that is like animal and environmental themed. And I actually just got to play this one with a friend of mine for the first time the other day. We were at a friendly local game store and I pointed it out to her and I said, I've always wanted to try this one, but I just don't know. I'm hesitant. And she decided she was going to buy it. So she bought it and we played, and it was fun. It was interesting. It was, a little bit more challenging than I expected, which was kind of nice because it's got this sort of like matching thing going on, and it felt like it could be very simple and basic, but it was actually a lot more interesting and compelling than I expected it to be. So that was nice. The next one on my list is Overboss Duel from Brotherwise Games. It's a 2-player only game. It takes 20 to 30 minutes to play. It is open drafting, pattern building, abstract strategy game. And I'm excited about this one because we have the regular Overboss, like right down here, and I like it a lot. We haven't played it a ton, especially at just a 2-player count, but so far I've enjoyed everything that I've experienced with Overboss, and seeing how they sort of refine that for just a 2-player experience is something that I'm highly interested in because Nick and I play so many games, so it's just the two of us. I already know I like Overboss, so I'm interested to see how they do Overboss Duel. The next one is The Perfect Wave from the OP. There's not a lot of information on this one, so I don't know the player count, the play time. There's no information about the mechanics here except that it's a card game. So don't know a whole lot about this one, but it looks kind of cool, and the OP has come out with some pretty decent games in the past, so we'll see. The next one I'm interested in is Pollen from All Play. Formerly they were BoardGameTables.com, and now they're All Play. Side note, we got this table from them and these chairs, and they don't sponsor us or anything, but y'all, if you're looking for a nice gaming table,
affordable gaming table.
Yeah, this is affordable. It's high quality. It's fun to play on. I just highly recommend it. So if you're looking for a board game table, boardgametables.com. They are also sort of a board game publisher called All Play now, and they have come out with Pollen, among other things, that will be at Gen Con. It is for 2 to 4 players, takes 30 to 45 minutes to play. It is an area majority / influence and tile placement game, and it's got that nature theme to it. I don't love pollen. I actually have really bad pollen allergies, but it's got a really pretty cover, and some of those mechanics, and based on the publisher and stuff like that, I'm willing to look into it. I put Race to the Raft from the City of Games on my list. It's a 1 to 4 player game that takes 40 to 60 minutes to play, and it's a co-op grid coverage game. It is sort of like the spiritual successor to Isle of Cats, which is right behind Nick. So Isle of Cats is this phenomenal competitive tile placement game where we've gone to this island where there are all of these mystical cats, and this dude named Vesh is coming, and he is going to attempt to bring about the end of the world by destroying this island. I don't know why. Some people just can't let us have nice things. But anyway, so it is our goal when we get there to rescue as many of these cats as we can. However, because of lack of resources, there's not enough room on our boats, that kind of thing, some of these cats are not going to be rescued. So Race to the Raft is sort of the follow-up to Isle of Cats, where they tell us what happens to the cats that didn't get rescued in Isle of Cats. And in Race to the Raft, we are the cats who are left behind on the island, and we're working together to sort of escape our fate. We've backed the Kickstarter version of this. Super excited about it. Frank West is the designer of this game and the owner of the City of Games publisher. And he, hands down, head and shoulders above any other crowdfunding creator that I've ever interacted with. He makes fun and informative updates on a regular basis. His projects are always on time. They're good value for the money, in my opinion. They're fun games. They're interesting. He has a very infectious enthusiasm for his games. So I love to follow his campaigns anyway, just because of what he brings to the table. And then I'm just really excited about more Isle of Cats content. Especially as a standalone game, because there have been a couple of sort of expansions and promos and extra things that we've added to our copy of Isle of Cats. And while I love adding content to a game at a certain point, it doesn't really become viable anymore to just keep adding content to the same game. So I love that we're kind of adding content to the universe, but in a new game that will stand on its own and have its own things to it. Then if I want to get it out and play it, I don't have to sort through 6 tons of extra content, right? Little side note. Anyway, I'm super excited about Race to the Raft. I also am interested in Rome in a Day from Alley Cat Games. It's a 2 to 5 player game that takes 15 to 20 minutes to play. It's a hexagon grid I cut you choose game with territory building in a medieval theme. It looks really fun. It looks really cool. However, in the past, I have thought the same thing about other Alley Cat titles, and then I've played them and they just haven't really been for me. So we'll see, but it's on my list anyway. I got 3 more for you. Another Kickstarter that we backed is Sagrada Artisans from Floodgate Games. It's for 2 to 4 players. It takes 45 to 60 minutes to play. It is a legacy game. So that means that everything in it is going to be, we'll play a set number of games, but every time we play a game, we will permanently alter the game state. So maybe we'll draw on something, or maybe we'll put a sticker on a card or the board or something like that. We're going to be permanently altering the game every single time we play, but we can only play a certain number of times, and then the game will sort of be at its conclusion. Legacy is one of my all-time favorite ways to play games. The Sagrada Legacy looks really fun. It's got coloring aspects. We actually color with colored pencils, and it just looks cool. Plus, it's built on a game that I know we like already, Sagrada. So I'm all about that. The next one is Sirens from Envyborn Games for 1 to 2 players. Takes 10 to 20 minutes to play. It is a closed drafting hand management card game. I don't know much more about this one, but it caught my attention, and I think it caught Nick's too. So I put that one on my list. And then finally, the last one on my list is Takedo Duo from Funforge. This is for exactly 2 players. It takes 20 to 30 minutes to play, and it is an action drafting and open drafting game that is sort of a follow-up to Takedo, which is right down there. And it is a sort of like a 2-player, not version exactly of Takedo, but sort of. So we like Takedo enough to own it. We own, I think, both of the expansions and some extra upgrades and stuff like that. It's a little basic, especially without the expansions, but it's fun. It's decent. It's a nice, peaceful experience, even though it's a competitive game. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it to make it sort of streamlined for 2 players. And because Takedo has been out for a decent amount of time at this point, I feel like they're not just rushing to produce additional content. Hopefully this is something that's well thought out and well executed. So that is my list of 26 games that I'm excited about that is releasing at Gen Con. Nick, what's on your list?
So my list is not going to be as detailed as Sarah's. I'm basically going to be like shotgun winning you my title, just boom, 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 boom. But something I noticed that I'm kind of excited about is the duo games. There's, I think, so far 2 duo titles of already existing games that'll be at Gen Con, and I'm always excited for 2-player games because that's the majority of the player count I play at. That's the most. But I just hope they're not just 2-player sliced of like just it's. I just hope it's unique enough. Like I like Splendor Duel, and that was one is my favorite game of all time. And I was a little nervous that they were gonna just make a 2-player version of Splendor, but it wasn't. It was really cool. Check that out if you're interested. But without further ado, let's go to my list. Let's get into it. So out of all the games, I only had 15. I think Sarah she added games that we also kickstarted. I did not add those games because those games are like that I'm already getting.
Already in the bag?
Yeah, they're already in the bag. So without further ado, speed list: Aguila, City of Umbrellas, FICA, all play games. Now, what I mean by all play games is formerly known as BoardGameTables.com. At Gen Con, they have a pretty unique, they put up their tables all over, and they'll put like mostly all of their new and previous games on there, so it'll be all splayed out, so people will be demonstrating those games. I think we missed a Kickstarter or 2, so we have a lot of games that we don't have from them. And that will be all out there at Gen Con, ready for the pickings, and we'll be able to learn more there. And just how they're shown off at Gen Con is a very interesting and fun way, and very eye-catching. So I'm excited to go to All Play's booth and just kind of dive into their new games, and even some maybe just look at their tables, because their tables are always nice, and their carrying cases, their bags. They have nice bags for game night porting or traveling with your games, and the portability of the game bags that they sell. Going on, Forges of Rainfordshire. Sarah talked a little bit about that, where that was one game that we went ahead and previewed, and that was something we both really liked. Barcelona, it was an interesting artwork. I'm interested in that one. Castles by the Sea caught my attention, the mechanics and the player count. And then let's move on to Overboss Duel. I really enjoy Overboss. That there's a Overboss Duel coming out, I'm excited. Like I said, I always get a little nervous with these duels. I'm like, I hope it's different enough than the original game at its 2-player count.
To be honest, I'm a little tiny bit nervous that it's not going to be, because as far as I can tell, like I said, we haven't played a ton of that, but as far as I can tell, there's no substantial reason to make a 2-player only version of Overboss. It worked just fine at 2 players. However, like Nick was saying about the Splendor game, same thing there. Regular Splendor works just fine at 2 players. Splendor Duel is different enough to justify owning both. So hopefully with Overboss and Overboss Duel, we'll be in a similar situation. But we'll see.
Yeah. Really hope. I'm interested to see what these duels will offer. I will be highly disappointed if they're just 2-player versions of the base game or the original game, because I don't know. Splendor Duel is unique enough that you can own that and Splendor and its expansions. Next on my list is I apologize for all the games I mispronounce. Tebizris. So yeah. Sarah's looking at my English.
Tabriz, maybe?
Tabriz. I really do apologize for mispronouncing that. Tabriz. It looked interesting. Queen by Midnight. This is a game from, I think, Darien Press. I think that's Darrington Press. I probably won't pick up this game, only because it's like a 3 to 6 player game, has a vibe of Dice Throne, so it's like, you know, it's a throwdown game to see who's going to be the queen at midnight. Really cool theme. I think it's really cool. I just don't think I would personally play it with my group. Now, if someone else in my gaming group had that, or if I was going to places or going to game nights where they had that, yeah, I'd totally probably jump in that. But owning it myself, probably not, just because I don't get 3+ player games to the table that often.
That's how I feel about most Darrington Press games. Darrington Press has just recently become like a publisher. They're sort of a new publisher.
Yeah, Critical Role.
Yeah, the guys from Critical Role are doing Darrington Press, and a lot of their games look really good. They look interesting. Their components look solid. The mechanics, look like they're doing something fresh. But they're almost always higher player count games, like a minimum of 3 players. And that's just not something we get to the table very often here. So I did see Queen by Midnight, but when I saw that it was a 3-player minimum, I said, well, that does look cool, but I know I'm probably not going to pursue it because we really prefer to have a 2-player minimum.
But with that, I appreciate a publisher that will say this game is 3+. There are some publishers that will release a game that they say, oh, it's 2 players. And then when you get to the rules, there's like, by the way, there's a caveat to your 2-player game. You have to do this differently, and that differently.
Or you have to play with an autonomous.
Yeah, or you have to play with an autonomous player. And I'm like, I would really appreciate it. You've just said this was a 3+ player game, because now I'm playing something different or even a lesser game just because you wanted to play at that 2-player count. And I also think that same thing for solo games. Don't make your game a solo game if it doesn't really work at a solo player count. Just put it at the player count. Just because then if you don't and people play it and they're expecting it to be good at 1 player or at 2 player, and you're totally like, hey, you got a whole different rule set, or as a solo play it doesn't really work, then just let people know what the real player count is. I think Darrington Press is telling people, hey, 3+. Like, if I was about to play something and all of a sudden I open the rule books and there's immediately like a 2-player variant, I automatically get like a little like sometimes it works. Rarely though, in my opinion.
I actually, a little sidebar here, but I actually would love to see with game publishing, I would really love to see that we start to normalize maybe making like an asterisk on the player counts of the box. So like grab any box, right? And most of the time the player count is on a side of the box, right? Maybe multiple sides of the box. It'll say 2 to 4 players or whatever, right? I would really love to see that if it's like genuinely a 3 to 4 player game, but it has a 2-player variant, then what I would like to see on the box is 2 asterisk 2 4 players, right? Because then okay, I can play this with 2, but it's going to be a little bit different than if it was played with 3 or 4. And then maybe the asterisk could direct our attention to like something on the back of the box that would say like, the normal game is really for 3 to 4 players, but there is a 2-player variant or something along those lines, just so that we're getting sort of like an honest player count right away before you get into the rule book and you're like, oh, there's a variant for 2 players, or oh, 2 players have to play with an autonoma, or whatever. So I would like to see that normalized, that we make some kind of visual representation on the player count that's already on most boxes that just says like, hey, if there's going to be like, if this isn't genuinely a 2 to 4 player game, or if it's a 2 to 4 player game but XYZ, like if we could normalize like a visual representation of that on the existing iconography on the box, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be amazing, but I think sales would, for some games, be like, ooh, I'm not getting that. So continuing with the list, Jerusalem, I don't know how, I really do apologize. I'm not trying to be funny.
It's the word Jerusalem.
Yeah.
They spelled it with an I at the beginning. So maybe.
What are you doing, Devere?
Maybe it's supposed to be Jerusalem and it was a typo that's just gone on too long, or maybe it's I-Jerusalem and I don't know it, but that's like a historical spelling or something.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be accurate, but I'm excited for that. It's the theme is interesting and how they present it. Again, me and Sarah are Christians, and I hope it's fun and I hope it doesn't get weird. Like we said, like religion sometimes just gets bonkers weird, and you're like, no, not with a 10-foot pole. Sirens. Sarah mentioned this on her list, that it is an interesting 2-player game, and I don't know much more about it, but I just hope it is interesting. I always think, hey, you're a competing siren. You want all the fishermen to yourself. How can you do it? Get on it. That siren on the other side is trying to get on your turf. I got this sweet song over here, baby. Don't come at me, bro. So next, Cascadia Landmarks. I love Cascadia. We both quite enjoyed Cascadia at multiple player counts, and just it coming out with a expansion is exciting. Takeda Duel, again, another duel. I hope it's unique. I hope it's not just, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I just want it to be different but fun at a 2-player count. And Forbidden Jungle, the Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert series. I just hope Jungle seems like there's going to be some heft to it, and it's going to be a little bit of a darker theme. I know Board Game Geek did an article on Forbidden Jungle, but this one seems like it's going to be a little more heavier than its the past games. I'm excited about it. Hopefully I'll get to see it at Gen Con. And last but not least, My Island. I liked My City. I'm excited for the dice rolling variant. And now there is a My Island version coming out. I'm excited for that and really can't wait to get that to the table, learn more about it, and dive into it. So yeah, that is my list of 15. Wasn't as detailed as Sarah's, but we got in some good conversations while my list was going, which I'm excited about. I like talking about board games. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you go check out the link for yourself and see what games are coming to Gen Con that you'll be excited for. Even if you're not going to Gen Con, it's cool to look, cool to just see what's coming in the future of new games in the industry. So yeah, again, hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you check out the link and maybe even stay tuned for our next one. Hopefully publishers out there add more games to the lists that we can go over another video and talk more about games. So yeah, without further ado, I'll let y'all go and play your own games. And so yeah, toodles!